Hello, my name is Jeremy Cohen, and welcome to the webinar entitled Introducing the PubNub Realtime Gateway for Microsoft Azure. In today's webinar, we'll cover the following topics. We'll start first with an overview of the PubNub Data Stream Network, followed by an overview of the PubNub Realtime Gateway for Microsoft Azure. After that, we'll jump into a demo of using the PubNub Realtime Gateway for Azure, and we'll end with recapping some resources and links. So what is PubNub? PubNub provides secure real-time services for data stream applications on mobile, web, and IoT platforms. Our network is redundant, replicated, and distributed across 15 global points of presence. Our SDKs support over 70 languages, and our network and SDKs are covered by 24/7 support and 5.9 SLAs. We're easier, more reliable, and far less costly than do-it-yourself, and best of all, we're free to trial. PubNub provides real-time services including messaging, where you can send and receive messages in under a quarter second worldwide. Serverless compute, where you can embed your app logic directly in the network with PubNub blocks. Presence and state monitoring enables you to monitor users and devices in real time, know who's online and offline, and track device states. Access Manager provides token-based access control, and our security encryption provide built-in AES 256 and TLS-based encryption for end-to-end security. PubNub is optimized for real-time secure communication. We provide reliable transport in reliable and unreliable network environments. Our tunable settings enable optimization for resource-constrained devices, and you can use PubNub in client-to-server, client-to-client, and server-to-server communication patterns. So what is the PubNub Real-Time Gateway for Microsoft Azure? It's an ARM template which installs Azure WebJob and Event Hub components. It provides PubNub publishers and subscribers to run on the WebJob using the Event Hubs as transports into and out of the Azure environment. The Event Hubs ferry real-time data streams across various Azure services, such as Stream Analytics. And the data can remain or terminate inside of Azure or egress back out via PubNub. So when should you use the PubNub Real-Time Gateway for Microsoft Azure? If you'd like to leverage Azure services such as Stream Analytics for your PubNub real-time data streams, or if you'd like an easy, secure way to bidirectionally exchange real-time data streams between your mobile, server, desktop, IoT devices, and Azure services. Also, if you'd like to easily add visualization to your PubNub real-time data streams with Microsoft Power BI's charting features. But enough with the slides. Let's jump into a quick demo of using PubNub Real-Time Gateway with Azure. By the time we're done with this tutorial, our system is going to look like this. We will have spun up an Azure WebJob that runs both the PubNub subscribe and publisher services. Those WebJobs will be talking directly to ingress and egress event hubs, which can talk internally to Azure services. In our example, it'll be Stream Analytics. Also in our example, we'll have Stream Analytics output to Power BI.
So the first thing we want to do is bring up the Azure Quick Start template page from azure.microsoft.com. You can search for Realtime or you can search for PubNub, and the PubNub Realtime Gateway for Azure Event Hubs will appear. Once there, you'll see the README for the Quick Start template, which includes a parameters reference and also a deployed Azure quick link. So after we click Deploy to Azure, we get the ARM template displayed in our web browser. You should choose the subscription that you want to deploy this against. For the resource group, let's create a unique prefix, and then with everything else unique that we need for this template, I'll just suffix it. For example, our unique prefix here is pncom webinar 1, and then I'm going to suffix it with RG for resource group. I'll leave location as West US. For the Event Hub namespace, that also needs to be unique, so same prefix, but EH suffix. For the WebJob name, just like before with the WJ suffix. For the PubNub ingress channel, in other words, the channel that we're pulling data in from, that's pre-canned data on our sensor network channel, so we'll add that. For the PubNub egress channel, let's make that unique for this particular deploy. So we'll use our unique prefix plus our unique suffix for the egress channel. For the announce channel, same scheme as before, that prefix, but we'll use PubNub announce channel as the suffix. Now for the publish and subscribe keys, because this is a canned demo that uses some pre-populated data on the PubNub channel, we'll use the MS Power BI publish and subscribe keys for that information. What I like to do at this point is just jot down these values, although you can pull this data from the WebJob system settings value on the Azure portal. I like to just keep it as a reference here. So if we need to refer to it later during the tutorial, I can just copy and paste it. I'll just quickly jot these values down here, and then we'll continue from here. So the next thing we want to do here is set up the provisioning listener tool, and that will help us monitor Event Hub data as it goes through the system. So we should have cloned the repo earlier, and we'll change directory to the Event Hub bridge directory, and from there to the tools directory. Run npm install to be sure we have all of our dependencies. And once that's done, we can just test the install by typing node provisioning listener.js. Just get usage summary info there. We're going to want to run this in provision mode. So let's go ahead and run provisioning listener provision. We're going to pass it the PubNub announce channel, which we jotted down earlier here. And then after the channel name, we want the subscribe key that this data is going to come in on, which we also jotted down here. Now when we hit enter, the script is going to go ahead and listen for that Event Hub configuration announcement once we deploy. So let's go ahead and agree to the terms and conditions on the template and click purchase, and the deployment will begin. We wait a moment or two for the deployment to succeed, and shortly thereafter we should begin to see the Event Hub data from the PubNub input start to scroll across our provisioning listener screen. Now you probably missed it because it went really fast, but if you Control-C out of there, when you run in provisioning mode, the first line of output that comes out, here it says in the future, you can use this command line to connect to this Event Hub. So if we copy that and put that in our little scratch pad over here, we can go ahead and run this at any time. We'll do it right here, for example. We'll connect to the Event Hub and see the data that's coming through. In this case, just the ingress Event Hub, because nothing's being sent out yet through the egress Event Hub. Since we're on the topic of debugging here, if we bring up the PubNub console and we put in MS Power BI API keys for publish and subscribe here, and also sensor network for the channel, we can look at the PubNub channel that is feeding into the, otherwise known as the ingress PubNub channel, that is feeding into the ingress Event Hub. So here you see it end-to-end coming from PubNub here, and then outputting on our left terminal into the Event Hub.
Now that we've completed Phase 1, we'll move on to Phase 2, adding the Azure Stream Analytics component. To do that, we'll manually provision and bind the Azure Stream Analytics service to the ingress and egress Event Hubs that we created in Phase 1. We'll create a simple Stream Analytics query that connects it all together. Then we'll use the PubNub Developer Console to monitor PubNub input, as well as the Stream Analytics mutated output traffic.
So when we last left off here, we have the data coming in through PubNub to the Event Hub. So let's go ahead now, and in our next step, create the Stream Analytics component in Azure. I'm going to do that from our resource group. We click Add, and the Search Everything field, we're going to put Stream Analytics. Select Stream Analytics job, select it, and then go ahead and click Create. And just a moment after we do that, we get the new Stream Analytics job UI. For the job name, we'll use that same naming convention where we have a unique prefix, and we'll say SA for Stream Analytics for the suffix. Select our subscription, use our existing resource group, be sure we're in West US, and click Create. So once the Stream Analytics component is created, we can go ahead and click on it, and you'll see the Stream Analytics configuration screen come up. If we click on Inputs, let's create an input into our Stream Analytics component. And we'll go ahead and just call this in from ingress. The source will be a data stream. Source type is data stream, and the source is an event hub. Use our existing subscription. Go ahead and use that same namespace we created in this resource group for the event hubs. And for the input, we'll use in from subscriber hub. And for the policy, we'll go ahead and just use the default policy, the in from subscriber hub policy that was automatically created by the ARM template for us. And we'll go ahead and click Create. So now that we have successfully created the input, let's go ahead and create the output very similar way, except using the output event hub values. So we'll go ahead and click Add once again. Similar naming scheme, except out to egress this time for the alias name. We want it to go to an event hub like before. Let's use our subscription for the resource group. Same namespace for the event hub, but instead of the in from subscriber, let's do out to publisher for the event hub now. And we'll go ahead and use the default created out to publisher hub SAS policy. We'll use JSON for the serialization format, UTF-8 for encoding, and for format, very important, select array. Once we have that, go ahead and click Create. It'll add and test that for us. So once we have our output created, the last thing to do is create a query. So in this first phase here, I'm just going to go ahead and paste in this default query. It's a pass-through that basically just selects all from the ingress event hub and just sends it all back out into the out to egress event hub. So we'll go ahead and save that there. And once we save it, we'll close this window, and let's start up the Stream Analytics component next by clicking the Start button and selecting Now for the start time and clicking Start. So that's going to start itself up here, and shortly on this side, once it kicks in, once it completes, we should see some egress events appear. Here they are on this side. And just to Control C it, you can see now there's data coming in on both the ingress event hub and the egress event hub. So we'll go ahead and restart that as our monitor. In the same way that we can now see ingress and egress event hub data, we can also now, before we were looking at the input PubNub channel, which was sensor network, but now you can see the data that's going out of the egress PubNub channel through the egress event hub by just putting in that channel name in our PubNub console. And if we scroll down here, we can see that as well.
Now that we've completed Phase 2, we'll move on to Phase 3, some advanced queries and visualizations. We'll upgrade the simple pass-through query that we created in Phase 2 with a more sophisticated query that calculates a tumbling window average. We'll take that data and we'll chart it using the Stream Analytics output for Power BI.
So in order to modify any sort of existing Stream Analytics settings, we're going to first have to stop any running Stream Analytics jobs. So we'll do that here, confirm it, wait for confirmation that it is stopped. And once we've confirmed that it's stopped, if you go ahead and follow the tutorial that you find in the landing page for this webinar, inside that tutorial there's a bit more advanced query that we'll paste in here that gives us humidity averages over a 5-second tumbling window. So we'll go ahead and paste that in here and save it. So now instead of pass-through data, we actually have a semi-complex tumbling average-based calculation we're providing against that input data. But now, let's say we want to do yet another calculation, but specific to, let's say, the noise data in our input stream. And in addition, we want to chart it. So what we can do is create a new output on the stream analytics component. And instead of outputting to an event hub, it'll output directly to Power BI. The output alias will be called noise monitor. Easy to remember. And we just need to authenticate against our Power BI account. So when this comes out of Stream Analytics, it's going to appear as a data set in Power BI. And we'll give that data set name noise sensor. And per the tutorial, which is a beer garden scenario, we'll just name the table name beer garden. So we took that original pass-through query and we made it a more advanced query that calculates humidity averages. In addition, we also created a second query in there that sends noise average information out to Power BI as well. You might be asking yourself, how do I bind any particular query to that Power BI output? If you look here, we're already sending that average out to our out to egress, which goes out to that event hub. So now we'll just add another snippet of data that sends the last 5 seconds of maximum noise into the noise monitor input, which will eventually end up in Power BI. So we'll go ahead and save that, close the window. Now that we have created our new output and our new query, we'll go ahead and start it back up. The query we defined will give us the last 5 seconds of average humidity, both on the egress event hub, which we can see reflected on our event hub monitor. But as it traverses through the egress event hub, we'll also see the same data every 5 seconds appear on the PubNub side as well. We can't forget about that tumbling 5-second window of noise data that we're sending to Power BI. So let's go ahead and chart that by clicking Add Tile, Custom Streaming Data. Noise sensors appears automatically under your data sets. For visualization type, we'll choose line chart. For the axis, we'll choose last 5 seconds as defined in the query. For values, last loud, which is also defined in the query. And for the time window to display, we'll say the last 5 minutes and click Next. For title, we'll call it average noise over 5 seconds interval tumbling window. And location, beer garden. Go ahead, click Apply, and voila! Every 5 seconds, as we get the new tumbling average for the past 5 seconds, we're going to go ahead and chart that data in real time in Power BI. So there you have it. 2 queries running simultaneously through Stream Analytics, one outputting through PubNub, and one outputting directly to Power BI.
So now that we've completed the tutorial, you should have a pretty good understanding of how these parts work together to provide the bridge between PubNub and Azure. But it's also important to know that the ARM template that we used and all the settings that we used provide a general purpose PubNub Azure bridging architecture. What we demonstrated today was an economical setup that's great to explore PubNub in Azure, but it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all setup for production. If you plan to implement this bridge for an enterprise or production environment, we strongly urge you to contact us at support@pubnub.com so we can review your particular use case and assist with any fine-tuning necessary, both on the PubNub and Microsoft sides. With proper architectural review, the PubNub and Microsoft components can be scaled to handle and process as much load as your use case demands. So as we wrap up, it's good to provide you with some PubNub and Microsoft resources. These links are also going to be available on the webinar landing page. But just so you know, we'll be providing a link to the PubNub Realtime Gateway for Azure Event Hub's Quick Start template. That would be the ARM template, as well as a step-by-step tutorial of creating real-time charts with PubNub and Microsoft Power BI that is not Azure dependent. Thank you for joining us today, and we wish you happy coding from pubnub.com.